Hello there.
Wow,
Well,
well,
hello everyone. Yeah, we're
great to be
very
here.
yeah, it's good to be here, and we're looking forward to this time of sharing about companionship in marriage.
Yeah, welcome to our couple celebration. I'm Bob, this is my wife,
Mary,
and
yes,
we call this couple celebration the romantic adventure, but as Mary says, we're going to major on a particular theme, which is
companionship in marriage.
yay. So this is
Yeah,
part of the
how to
adventure.
the importance of it and how to encourage it.
So
Yeah,
I hope this is going to be a great blessing to you this evening as we get this. I can see our two soft toy teddy bears behind us are listening up, and so let's get started on the theme. So over to you, darling.
yeah. So we're going to go right back to the beginning, where we're the first couple that's mentioned in the Bible, Adam and Eve, and God God was making everything, creating the whole world, and he was saying it's very good. It's very good. Oh, it's good actually. He said it's all good. That was he made the sky and it was all good. And then he said it is not good that man should be alone. I will make a helper suitable or comparable to him. And this is the point about companionship. It was not good that the man was on his own, and the word actually used to say that I will make a helper suitable for him, which is when he obviously made the woman. That word actually means a companion. It means someone able to help, someone equal, opposite, someone who advises or speaks up or just faces joys and sorrows together. So it's that's the word that's used, a helper suitable for him. And then further on in the Bible, in a book called Ecclesiastes, there's some verses there in chapter 4, verses 9 and 10, and it says, two are better than one, for if they fall, one will lift up his companion. And again, there's that word companion. So we're really focusing on the sort of friendship aspect of marriage, where the togetherness and friendship is all about closeness, familiarity, intimacy. And it's a vital aspect of the marriage. If you think about marriage itself, there's like three, you could break it down into three main aspects. One of them is home management, just keeping the whole thing
Go
going.
in.
So
Hang on in.
all the practical stuff, looking after the kids, doing the shopping, keeping the house clean, all those domestic things,
Ringing up for the plumber.
is one important aspect of what happens in marriage. The other one, much nicer one, the romantic lovers. We could be described as home management managers or romantic lovers, where we're expressing our love. It's the physical side of marriage, but more than that as well. And then the other main aspect is being good companions. And often this is where relationships begin. When you first meet someone, you hit it off because you like the same things, you enjoy the same activities, you just have different things in common, and you're good companions for one another. So um, right there at the beginning, you've got Adam and Eve, and they had a job to do together to look after the garden. That's like the home management job. They had babies, or they were going to be fruitful and have babies. They had that intimacy with one another, the romance, but also they were good companions. They Adam without Eve was alone, and it was not good. He was lonely on his own. And then just thinking a bit more about what it means to be a good companion. One main thing that is also comes from the Bible is that it's about serving one another. It says in one of the letters of Paul, Galatians, that we should serve one another in love. And that applies in marriage as well as across the church with other brothers and sisters that believe in Jesus. It's like a serving and complementing the strengths and weaknesses of one another.
Yeah, and just carrying on with the theme of companionship, I think one vital area is respect, and that we should have a continued respect. It's so easy as you go on in a relationship maybe to be less respectful, but really we should be continuing to have, if you like, an honouring vocabulary in which we really uphold that person as someone we admire and give dignity to. Really, we listen to them, we give them our eye contact, our focused attention. We should actively take care of our personal appearance. Maybe we made an effort when we first met one another, and then we've let it drift, and yet actually that's a mark of respect to a person, really, that you take the time and the bother to have to keep yourself looking good and clean, and really that both people are doing the work to learn each other's love language, each other's personalities. Really, that we're taking time, we're showing the respect for them if we are prepared to take time to learn more. And then in how we talk to one another, that we should be speaking encouragement. And there's a lovely acronym called THINK that I came across recently, THINK. You may have come across this yourself, and I'll try and say them slowly if you wanted to jot this down, but the THINK stands for, when you're talking with somebody, everything you say in your conversation should have these facets in there, not just one or two of them, but all of them should be in your conversation, really. So think, the T stands for true. The H stands for helpful. The I stands for inspiring. The N stands for necessary. And the K stands for kind. So in all our conversations, we should think, is what we're saying true?
Is it true? Yeah.
Helpful, inspiring,
Is it
necessary?
Yeah.
And kind. Yeah. And we should make sure that they know they're important to us and not take them for granted. Important to us in expressing that in words, but also in actions as well. The word companion comes from the French, actually, pain, which means to eat bread together. So there's a togetherness, an intimacy in companionship. So I think this is a vital ingredient in marriage, that we should take time together. We should spend time talking together, doing things together, hanging out, doing some fun things together. So maybe we ought to think about what brought us together in the first place. And usually there's shared goals, shared interests, shared values of what we want out of life, shared intelligence, in a sense, a sense of parity in our ability to talk to one another, but importantly as well, a shared warmth, that we just enjoy being with each other. And hopefully those things have been part of the bringing together of yourselves as couples in the first place, that you recognised shared goals, shared interests, shared values, shared intelligence, shared warmth, enjoying being with each other.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Michael, for putting that up.
Okay, so for the next few minutes, we're going to hear from a couple of couples that we've asked to join us, as well as ourselves sharing, and we're going to ask them the question, what have you found helpful in keeping companionship going in the busyness of life? But we thought we'd just have a little moment of practicing. You're all on mute, so that's great, and but we've got a few little statements of love here that you might want to practice as well. If you can mean this from the heart, It might sound a little bit artificial to you, but it's always good to have a vocabulary of love knocking around. So here's one for you to try on one another. If you want to imagine if your spouse is somewhere else in the universe right now, then you may have to speak a long way or shout up. But here's the word to practice first of all. You are wonderful. So do you want to practice that one for a moment? Tell your spouse that they're wonderful. You are wonderful.
You are wonderful too.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's great. What about you? What have you got there?
And then here's another one, different one. If I had to do it all again, I'd still marry you.
Wow. So let's do that. Let's say that to one another as well. If I had to do it all over again, I'd still marry you.
Yeah.
Put some sincerity in those eyes.
Yeah.
Believe it. If I had to do it all again,
I'd still
marry you.
Marry you.
Yay.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Praise the Lord. So, we've got Michael and Nancy first up for the next 10 minutes, and they're going to share their experience of this question. Let me spotlight Michael and Nancy.
That's it.
Hello, Michael. You need to be unmuted now. Hello, Nancy. You have two twins, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Very good.
Yeah, we thought,
their names.
we just thought we'll do it all together.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
That's great.
So the question, Michael and Nancy, and twins,
Oh, so this is the girl. So this is
what
Micah.
have you found helpful?
This is Micah, and
Say their names again,
Oh,
Michael.
definitely. And this is Judah,
Judah and
Micah.
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 That's it, Micah.
Lovely
Yes.
to have you with us. So the question is, what have you found helpful in keeping companionship going in the busyness of life? So give us some thoughts on that. And you've frozen on the screen, which is a bad sign.
Oh no. Oh, that's it.
Great, you're back on again
You're
now.
back on. No.
Yeah, it's working now. Share with us then.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I think ladies first. Do you want to share?
You need to probably speak up a bit as well. You're quite quiet.
Oh yes.
Reception. Can you hear us now?
We can hear you.
Yes. Yeah, it keeps coming. That's
So
it.
Nancy's going to share first. Go on, Nancy.
So yeah, as you know, as you can see, we've got twins, and in the busyness of life, it's and the fact that these kids have been born in during the pandemic, it's been quite challenging, but we've tried to make sure that we take some time out for ourselves, like even if it means just doing dishes together and just talking to each other, or cooking together, just being able to those moments together. So even after Michael went back to work, so yeah,
That's okay. You're all right.
so yeah, even after he went back to work, he made sure that there were times during the day when I'm looking after the kids, and he used to come in and just ask me how I'm doing, or me just being able to, when the kids are taking a nap, I'll just go quickly to the office and just ask him how he's doing. Just those few moments, just making sure that we're looking after each other, we're there for each other. And even so right now, we praise God, we've got easy kids. Even after being twins, we are blessed with kids who sleep through the night. So our that evening time, we've been able to at least watch a movie together, catch up together, so that's been a blessing. So yeah, those are some things that we do.
That's
I guess from my point of view, I would say like keeping it simple. I think the season of life we're in, you know, with the twins, and obviously the twins being born during a pandemic, it was just keeping things simple. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, you know, when you're tired and, you know, you don't want to do anything, we try not to put too much expectation on each other. And I think that was, for me, a big deal, because obviously you want to go out, you want to, you know, have those moments together, but I think not putting that expectation on each other has really helped us. So keeping it simple, and I, you know, I like running. So in the evening, I'll do my little running. You know, I got a little treadmill in the corner, just exercise, and then now we'll probably do our thing. So sometimes it's just doing things separately.
Yeah.
And even if we're in the same room, but the fact that we could do it together, encourage another, that's been pretty good. And again, just small talk. You know, we will probably watch a movie at the end of the day in the evening, maybe put something on. And sometimes other time we're not even watching it. We're just, you know, just in a way kind of detoxing, and just kind of like, okay, how was your day? You know, those little small conversations.
Yeah.
So but it's definitely not putting expectation on each other. So it's been good on our end.
Yeah.
That's really helpful what you've shared. And
yes.
For people at your phase who are watching this at your phase of life, I'm sure that's kind of encouraging, and they will be resonating with some of the things that you're doing. I mean, the fact you're taking this call with a child in each hand says it all.
Yeah.
So we do totally understand the way you're having to navigate all those pressures and challenges within what I'm calling the adventure of marriage.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. Is there anything else you want to say at this point, Michael and Nancy?
Just thank you for allowing us to be part of this. And I mean, we kind of juggled of, you know, how we'll do this. You know, it'd have been easier to just do it in a different room, you know, on my own, and then wait, Nancy could come in and out. But we thought, look, let us be real and show people that, you know, this is life. This is life.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing, rather than take away the children out of the equation and then almost try and say, okay, so it's nice for people to see it. And
absolutely,
it is. That's very true. And I like the fact you were saying about doing the dishes while you're doing something, you're talking as well, just taking advantage of moments when you can keep talking when you're doing a task as well, and cooking together. Yeah.
Well, super. Thank you then.
Important.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Wow, that was something else. Getting all that double blessing as well of Micah and Judah. Fantastic to see them all there as a family. And Nancy and Michael, well, we've known Michael for many years, and so we're so thrilled when we heard of their marriage with Nancy, and then obviously the arrival of the twins. So that's fantastic. Lovely. Well, a little bit more practice on saying some nice words to one another. So here we go. Are we ready for another practice on some vocabulary of love? You look gorgeous today. You might just want to say handsome. I don't know whether I'm gorgeous or not.
Handsome today.
Okay, you're gonna. Well, I think I look gorgeous as well. But you look gorgeous today. Do you want to practice that one? Yeah. You look gorgeous today.
Yeah.
And another one.
Great. Yeah. Well, I think this is a bit longer. So this one says, I appreciate everything you have done for me all these years.
Wow. I appreciate everything you have done for me all these years.
Yeah.
I appreciate everything you have done for me all these years.
So if you want to practice that one too.
I know it sounds a bit strange saying these things out to one another, but you know, sometimes we need the words.
Yeah.
We limit ourselves down, and we don't understand how we can.
Yeah, it was good to say thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's really important, because sometimes we take it for granted when, you know, one person's sort of done the hoovering or washed up, and you don't say thank you. You just think, oh well, that was their job. But actually, if you start saying thank you, it's that respect. It's kind of showing that appreciation.
It's like we need to open the envelope up really, and just let some of the goodness out, the things that started off the adventure in the first place. So we have another lovely couple with us today, our friends Stephen, Gemma Carder, all the way down in London, and we can ask them to share as well on that question. Hello there,
Hi.
Stephen, Gemma, lovely to see you.
Hi everybody.
And we're asking you to share on that question again. What have you found helpful in keeping companionship going in the busyness of life? You look very chilled and laid back today. I don't know how busy life is at the moment, but it's nice to see you.
Yes.
It's the beginning of our half-term break, so you know.
Oh, woohoo!
Ah, nice.
We caught you at the right weekend then.
Maybe a bit dazed. Okay, we'll take it in turns. So we thought we'd talk firstly just a little bit about agreement, the principle of agreement in our marriage. We've been married for 26 years, and from the beginning we felt that the principle of agreement that is pointed out, the Bible points to, is a principle for partnership. So in Amos, the book of Amos, chapter 3, verse 3, it puts it as a question: can two walk together unless they are agreed?
Yeah.
So you know, we took that as a principle from the beginning, really, to try to find agreement in the way we function together. And we know it's commonly said that compromise is a good good form of teamwork, but we feel that the biblical principle of agreement is greater than compromise. Obviously, at times you do have to compromise. You know, can't go on forever trying to find the right, you know, thing that you want. But we've tended to look for agreement as far as we can in the smaller and the bigger decisions of life. And part of that agreement has been finding the witness of what do we feel God is saying to us both. You know. So just this is quite a big example, I suppose, not a small example, but when we felt God was calling us to a season of missions, and we were seeking agreement of where it should be, we both had to find the witness, and it clinched in a scripture verse that we both felt we had. So in a way, that was us finding how we were agreeing with what God was saying in that situation. And we feel that perhaps in the process of seeking agreement in decision making, whether it's the small things or big things, we converge rather than diverge, you know, and perhaps seeking the agreement brings that blessing of companionship, certainly draws us together more, and sort of strengthens that sense of friendship.
Yeah.
Okay, so in line with what Gemma was just saying, when we were first married, the Lord led Gemma to lay down her full-time job whilst I was growing into my ministry, if you like, to refugees. That was the job that I was doing at the time. That meant that Gemma was free to get involved as a volunteer, having given her up her full-time teaching job.
Bit loud, Stephen, bit louder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better.
Shall I start my bit again?
No, I heard the bit, but I just felt you need to be a bit louder.
Yeah.
Okay. So Gemma giving up her job, her full-time teaching job, meant that she was now free to get involved as a volunteer in what I was doing, the refugee ministry. And we discovered an area of joint calling and heart interests. We sensed that we had a shared passion which was given by the Lord, and that provided a sense of companionship in the midst of in the midst of life, but also in the midst of the busyness of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
No, super.
We've got a bit more.
Thinking
Are
about
we all right to
agreement.
say a bit more?
Yes, do carry
yeah.
on.
Carry on.
Oh,
A few more.
So just to say, in more recent years, we're both back in full-time work. With all the busyness that brings. And, sometimes it can feel like all we're talking to each other about is the washing up and what should we have for dinner tomorrow and have we got such and such out the freezer, while we're trying to keep our work schedules and our travel schedules.
Yeah.
But like I think both couples so far have said, it is the everyday little shared interests that keep us connected.
Yeah.
So it can be like we have fantastic views of the sunsets from the front of our flat, and just sharing that sometimes, saying, "Wow, look at this sunset! Quick, leave what's cooking and just come and have a quick look." Or with other things that we are interested in. So a Friday night that we're both really tired, but we might just love to watch something together on catch up. So using technology creatively and just say, "Oh, let's leave that till Friday and we'll watch it together on Friday."
Yes.
Just a book on a subject that we're both interested in, and we found that maybe reading to each other sometimes, from just a book on something we're both interested in is quite a nice way of spending time. Tend to watch a lot of visual things, don't we, in our lives, so maybe something audio is quite a nice way. And just in the pandemic, when we had that 20-minute slot for going for walks in our local area, that was a nice thing to do together and discover little nooks and crannies of just our local area. So out of this, it just feels sometimes being creative with the small things in life can keep us connected.
Yeah.
And the picture I had in my mind, which I would have liked to have drawn and put on a slide, but I haven't had time to, was like you could either travel on parallel lines, like two little whirlwinds, or you could have the parallel lines, which are the busyness of life and the things that you each must do, but you're sort of walking, holding hands, through that, rather than being two whirlwinds separately. So.
That's a nice picture. Very
I
good.
did have one more thought, but I think it goes off at a different angle from what Gemma just said, so we'll quit whilst we're ahead.
No, go on, Steve. You've got a minute.
Yeah, you've got a moment to do that.
Yeah. All right. Well, even though it goes off at a slightly different angle, I'll say it anyway. So we won't share exactly why, but Gemma and I have not always had the kind of demands on us, on our time as a couple, that others may have done. But in fact, I've found, from my own perspective anyway, that this in itself is not always, or not necessarily, a formula for keeping companionship, because I can be spending time with Gemma, but in my head I'm busy with 5 other things.
Yeah.
And other men on the call can say whether this is a particularly male thing. I have a feeling it is. So the key there is not just spending time together, but the heart attitude.
Yeah.
And the Lord's really dealt with me on that point recently.
Thank you for that, Steve.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jem and Steve, for sharing your experience at your phase of life right now as well. 26 years, did you say at the beginning? Yeah. Into the adventure, and we appreciate you for sharing today with us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Wow, that was something else, and we do thank Michael and Nancy and Steve and Gemma for coming on to the platform today. Mary and I wanted to also answer that question: what have we found helpful in keeping companionship going in the busyness of life. So we're just going to alternate a few thoughts on that are personal to us, but we hope you might get something from it as well.
Yeah. So when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, like, we've been married 43 years, is it? No?
Something like that.
Something. It's either 42 or 43.
After the first 6 months, it felt like eternity. I couldn't imagine after 6 months that I'd ever been not married. So.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was trying to think back, because obviously you've got all the stages, like, or rather, looking back at our marriage, there was like a time when it was just us two at the beginning, and then starting having babies, and then having a growing family, so family of all different ages, and then the last part, because of 7 children, so then finally there was a phase when there was 3 teenagers in the house, and then they'd all gradually left, and then we're in the phase where we are now, with grown-up family, some of them with children, all of them bar one married, and now 6 grandchildren as well. So so I was trying to think through how this applied, keeping the companionship going, and obviously we've had busyness in different ways in different phases of all that time. And one of the things that came out as being very important was that you had at least one meal where you were together. Obviously, when it was the family, we were all together, and so that was usually the main meal of the day. And to have it round a table, and then no books. We used to make this rule: no books at the table, because all our kids loved reading. And so no books at the table, otherwise they'd just sit there, you know. And now it's no phones. That applies to us. We fall foul of that, you know, looking at the phone when we should be. Not
just no phones, but no phones even on the tabletop,
because
if it's there on the tabletop, it's like I'm here.
Yeah. So no phones at the table is now, so that it's an opportunity as well as eating. And I think this is something that comes out, like with Jesus and his disciples, you know, when you think about what his like bunch of people around him, they sat and they ate together, and it's an opportunity to talk. You're sitting opposite one another when there's just 2 of you. You can make eye contact, you can listen, and you can share your day.
And the same thing applies actually to one of the things we share in common. I don't know how you know, it's just amazing that we found ourselves both enjoying country walks. We're both from villages, and we really do like getting out into some fresh air each day. And that has been a good place for us as well to talk to one another as we've been walking along, and holding hands as well always goes down well. And really just takes us out from the house. Without our job, we're self-employed, we're located, working from home a lot of the time, or with everything we're doing, if we're traveling and meeting people, we're doing that together. So it is actually quite important for us to have different settings, really different locations to share with one another, and not feel we're sort of trapped in the house all the time. So that's been important to us, to have those time out walks together. And the sort of things that we've enjoyed doing is that just remembering things. Our memories are getting a bit dodgy from time to time, so our happy memories of certain events can sometimes diverge, but shared memories are good. And really just talking about hopes and dreams and the future, really, what we're thinking, what we're planning. These things are important if we're going to be good companions with one another.
Yeah, so on a walk we usually talk, and that's when those kind of things get talked about. Another thing that early on we discovered, we both loved reading, and also watching things on movies, and that sort of sparks discussion. So if you're we have read a book together as well, like Gemma was saying. Sometimes we read like a fun novel, and we read it out like a page or 2 each
Or if it's a bit long,
Yeah.
we'll just read it silently next to one another
So
and
we
wait.
just sit next to one
wait till
another
the
and
end of the
read
page.
through it, and that provides discussion as well. So so I remember way back when I just had my first baby, and Bob was the school teacher, so he was coming home like in the evening, and the conversation from my part was all about babies and nappies and maybe what I bought at the shops. It was very boring. And he said he was thinking, well, it didn't used to be like this. And he said, well, why don't you, when the baby's asleep, why don't you just read a book? You know, and I thought, oh yeah, I could do that. That would be good. And so I started reading again. I hadn't really been reading very much at all. And immediately the conversations got better, because he'd say, well, what have you been reading today as well? And then it was something interesting, and you know, you had a different kind of conversation. So, and we watch whodunit kind of movies sometimes. We like them detective things, because then you're trying to work it out. So if it's on a catch up or a DVD, you can stop it and say, so who do you think did it then? And we're trying to work it out, and then we put it on again and say, and see where it's going. So yeah, so that's that. Jane Austen was also a favourite of ours. Jane Austen,
the whole family likes Jane Austen.
Yeah.
One of our children ended up being the president of the Jane Austen Society when she went to uni.
We're always watching those movies and talking about them. Yeah.
And then in terms of activities, we do enjoy word games and things like Boggle, if you've not come across that, and Bananagram, and just doing a crossword actually. And we've come across something recently called Wordle on as an app, and you have to guess a five-letter word from over a certain attempts, and it just tells you
6 attempts.
It gives you the clues whether you've got the letters right. So we've been doing that, and actually posting with one of the family. Our family's been
doing it too. We have a family WhatsApp group, so we've been putting on there, oh, it was really hard today, and I only
but no spoilers.
I got it in 5 or something.
And I know it might sound a bit crazy, but we actually just enjoy doing a jigsaw. Not these huge, heavy-duty 1,000-piece baked bean picture jigsaws, but just something simple for like a 250, just to enjoy something that isn't demanding on our minds and our brains, because we spend a lot of time talking, doing emails and so on. So it's really nice just to do something simple together, like a jigsaw. And we also, for years, we've been doing an exercise DVD called X-Plan that I think was produced by Woolworths in 1998. We've often wondered how these three gorgeous girls on it doing the exercise X-Plan thing, and we're thinking, I wonder what they look like now in 2022, because it was filmed in 1998. You know what's happened to them. So we do enjoy doing the exercises together as well.
Yeah, and then obviously because we're both believers, you know, we're both Christians. All through our marriage, we've enjoyed times when we've sung together, sung songs, worshipped, prayed together, and that really helps, because that's bonding us in a deep way as well, and building that companionship at a spiritual level as well as physical level. You obviously we at different times, stages. You have to find the right time for the stage of marriage that you're at. So, but it's always good if you can. We've found to at the beginning of the day, at least to give the day to God together. You know, maybe at breakfast or when you wake up, and then at the end of the day, a really good thing we've learnt to do is to say thank you. To think of at least 3 things to say thank you for that's happened in the day, and that to end the day well. And we also sometimes, as well as praying out a prayer like that, saying thank you, we may just say the Our Father together, and just the act of praying together draws you closer, keeps that companionship. You can share things that you're worried about, and then you can pray about them and just give them to God, and that's a wonderful thing. in our
And
marriage.
then finally, we wanted to say that, you know, it's all right to give one another space in this companionship, that, you know, we
Yeah.
do need some privacy, really. That's part of the respect. But you know, Mary likes gardening. I don't. So, so she'll enjoy that, being in the garden. And I like going on, we both like walks, but I mean, I like to go out and explore some heavy duty hill walking. And then maybe I'll work out some simpler route from that for going out together. But, you know, if I didn't go out by myself and if like push the boundaries and find out what's out there, then those wouldn't happen. So I enjoy those walks, just being able to get up in the morning early and just go, you know, and find myself out on a hilltop. But so there's nothing wrong with that, as long as that you're not drifting apart or starting to disconnect. You know, it seems to be quite dangerous if you have a partner who's working all week and then they're spending the whole weekend in some hobby, and so you're hardly seeing one another. And I know some spouses will, in desperation, join them in the hobby because it's the only way they're actually getting any time with them at all. So, you know, there's that side to it, to be aware of drifting apart and becoming disconnected from one another. And then being careful about the social calendar, the busyness of pressures from other people coming in, family commitments or friendship commitments, the church commitments, whatever is going on, to really be quite ruthless with the calendar and not allow yourself to be saying yes to things when you really realise that you've got to have some time out with one another and with family. Wow, that's quite a lot to be thinking about in that area of companionship. I'm going to share screen now, and we have a little question here that we'd like you, while you're on mute, to think about for the next 10 minutes. I'm going to pause the recording. Well, we'll do 5 minutes. What shared interests did we discover we had when we first met? So we're looking back and we're thinking about what shared interests did we discover we had when we first met. Certainly it was a discovery process for Mary and I. I think I fell in love with the smile first, and then there was a bit of catch up in discovering the shared interest that we had with one another.
Yes.
So for the next 5 minutes, I'd like you just for yourselves just to think about that question. What shared interests did we discover we had when we first met? Oh, sorry. Well, I hope you enjoyed looking at that question just now. What shared interests did we discover we had when we first met? And actually, it's been an interesting exercise for Mary and I, and I hope it has been for others on this platform, or if you're watching the YouTube recording later, to really think about this aspect of marriage, companionship. We feel it's a vital ingredient of the three parts of married life. You know, the practical management of just
romantic,
you know, just and then romantic,
and then the good companions.
Exactly. So you know, if you don't have the companionship, you're missing an ingredient. If you just have the romance, you're missing something. If you just have a household being well run, you're certainly missing something. So, you know, but all three are necessary. You know, you can be all up there in the romance thing, and your household could be going to pieces. You have to live and function and have your life, you know, and work through some of the practicalities. So I just want to introduce you to our lovely friend Lindsay Foley. And Lindsay, your husband is somewhere else right now, but
in America.
So let me just replace the spotlight on you, and do talk to us a bit about this idea of companionship. Any thoughts you have?
Oh, thank you so much, Bob. So yes, companionship for me is really important. One of my biggest values is connection. So I really loved the question that you just asked about what shared interests did we discover when we first met. So obviously I hope that Stu will concur with me. Unfortunately, he can't be with us today. He's visiting his family in America. So having thought about it, we met in London, and we met in a club dancing, and then we followed each other to various dancing venues because we liked a certain type of music. Yeah. So we've really continued that on in a different way. So we both like ceilidh dancing, and we both enjoy the social aspect of folk music. So how we've carried that on together and with our family is by going to various like folk camps where we have ceilidhs and we go camping. So that's a really lovely thing that we continue to do together. Occasionally we'll just dance around the kitchen.
I do that sometimes.
Yeah. And we both enjoy going to different gigs. I mean, you know, with the pandemic, we haven't been able to recently, but we both enjoy live music and folk music in particular. So it just made me think, as I was, you know, considering it, that we need to plan more of those things into our diary this year, because we both enjoy the social aspect as well as the music, and folk music has got that sort of joyful energy about it, you know, so it's uplifting. So it's nice to connect in an uplifting way as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
no, lovely. That's so interesting. Thank you for
Thank you
for sharing that. That's really great. And we're coming to the end in a moment of this time together, and I trust that you found it helpful. We've got another little practice here on a particular language of love, vocabulary of love.
To one another.
So we'll let you have that one in a minute. I'll just go and change this. Yeah. So here's one for you to practice on right now. It's nice to wake up next to you.
Yes. It's nice to wake up next to you.
Yeah, yes. There you go. So it's nice to wake up next to you. If you want to get all romantic about that one, that's really good.
And the last one, which is relevant to what we've said, what we've been talking about today. You're the best friend that I have.
You're the best friend I have. Yeah. You're the best friend I have.
Yeah.
So you might felt that was a bit awkward, but hopefully it'll give you some words to express the love that's inside of you for one another.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna finish now with just two more things to do really. First of all, we want to just share a homework with you. This isn't a school teacher moment. Nobody's going to mark you, but we're just going to put on the screen a question for you to think about. And I need to just move this along. That's the shared interest. Just a minute.
Not that one.
Just need to get onto it and move it down.
That's it.
Now has that come up on the screen? Let's see. There. Can you see a question, please? Just give me a thumbs up if you can see what things do we most appreciate about each other. Lovely. So it has come up. And so that's the homework, to just spend a bit of time together in the next few days. Maybe thinking by yourselves for a moment about what things you most appreciate. And then either writing those things down and sharing them, or just directly having a conversation over a meal, on a walk, wherever you want to. What things do we most appreciate about each other?
Yeah, try to be specific, like, talk about the actual things that they might do that you like, like when I really appreciate it when you bring me a cup of tea.
No pressure then.
In the morning.
Okay, that's enough.
That kind of thing, so that you have some specific things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's it. Be specific about the things you appreciate with one another. Well, and really, I just want to pray a blessing over everybody on the platform today, and also watching this later on.
Yeah.
So really, we do want to pray that blessing. And Mary, would you just do that? Pray that blessing from Numbers 6.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. So, Lord, we just speak out a blessing over every marriage, every relationship represented here, and those watching later. In Jesus' name, amen.
So if you'd like to unmute for a moment, everyone, and just do a goodbye to the people on the watching, but just hang around so that we can just say bye-bye to you personally as well. So unmute and just say a bye-bye, please.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye then. God bless you. Let me get on the gallery on that. We've been spotlight. One more time on the bye-byes.
Bye.
Okay.